Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dillon. I'm your host. And today, guys, I am going to talk about growing out our team. So right now we are going through a ton of hiring. We just extended an offer to our first summer intern. So that's super exciting. We're going to have them come here, live in California, which means we got to go find housing for them and all that kind of good stuff. So for engineering interns and the school that I recruit out of, right? So Rose Holman, it's kind of expected a little bit that you provide housing for these interns. Like I got housing as an intern for the summer. You know, our competition like Rockwell Collins, Caterpillar, Google, like all these big companies, right, that are hiring top tier engineers are providing housing for the students over the summer for like interns, right? Because you got 3 months, like nobody's going to go, or it's really hard to find an apartment or anything like that. So it's a little more incumbent on the employers to go find housing for interns. So a little unique thing in that way in finding housing for interns, but that's what we're doing because again, we're going and recruiting top tier talent to come and work with us for the summer and then just build out our pipeline. And this is really the thing that I haven't seen too many in construction. You don't quite have, right? Because you have the apprenticeship program. So you have that for all the trades and specialty contractors. And then on the construction general contractor side, they sometimes have interns, and most all the bigger contractors do, right? Your Turners, your big guys, your DPRs of the world, they all have interns and intern programs that they bring people in and you work for the summer, you see projects, get put on a project, and that is super awesome. In engineering firms, it's hit or miss as to, whether people have interns for the summer. Really, the way that we're growing and building out our talent pipeline is, to bring in those interns, train them up, have them here, ingrain them in the culture, be in the office, all that kind of fun stuff for them. And then, we're going to do a bunch of hikes and other stuff with the interns this summer, right? And really have that big experience that I don't think they're going to get anywhere else. So with that, there's going to be travel, there's going to be seeing sites, going and visiting projects, a lot of things that frankly, you're not going to get anywhere else. And that's really what vertical design services can provide to interns and talent is because we're so active in projects, we're with our contractors, it's contractors are our clients. So we can go see these things built. We can interact with them, go to these job sites, be there, and really just to see completion, notice anything that might need to get corrected, right? It's like a nudge kind of thing, not a formal list or anything that we're going to put down for our contractors to like correct. So a lot of this goes to in hiring talent to bringing people on is curating that experience for our interns, give them real projects to work on, giving them a cool experience in places that they wouldn't always go, right? It's not in the middle of the city. It's, we're in the mountains, right? You're going to work on cool projects here. You're going to travel to places. You're going to see cool things. We're going to provide you with awesome experiences over the summer and do cool stuff. So with that, then we get to build out our talent pipeline, and the more and more, bigger projects that we end up securing is going to allow us to secure more and more talent moving forward, which will allow us to go after bigger and bigger projects. So the more that we're able to secure talent to really lock down people so that we're able to go after more projects, fulfill all the obligations that we say that we're going to do, right? Number one thing in construction is do what you say you're going to do. And so the more that we were able to fulfill on that promise, bring people in, do more work, fulfill on it, turn it around, the more successful we're going to be, the more successful our team is going to be, more projects we're able to do. Really everything wins out, because of that simple thing, right? Do good by your team, sell more, do good by your team, sell more. It works hand in hand. All right. So we talked about who to hire, right? We're going to hire interns. We're going to bring them on, train them, fill our pipeline so that when they graduate, they're going to come more than likely, so long as we provide a good experience for us full time, right? So it's securing our talent pipeline by going and getting interns, right? And then getting on the school cycle of going to career fairs in October, hiring, for June of next year, right? So you're like 8-9 months out every year and trying to forecast what next summer's going to look like to hire either full-time person or intern or anything like that. So now we're going to start being on the school cycles and getting talent in. So that's, who to hire, when to hire. And then really the other thing on when to hire is you've got to look at, again, securing projects, securing talent, securing pipeline. And the more that you're able to secure those people and that talent into your business, the more you can grow. So a lot of this is, again, matching sales with people. So the more you're able to do that matching of people, contracts, projects, the better off you're going to be. So it's always the hardest part. Timing's going to be the hardest thing to nail. You are either going to be a little understaffed or a little overstaffed. I don't think there's ever like a perfect balance for it. And it's just threading that needle to where you're not too overstaffed to where it's really hurting you, where you can take on enough projects, you can, pay everybody, all that kind of good things, and still maintain your margins. You don't want to be too understaffed to where everybody's working 70, 80 hours a week. If everybody's working 50, that's doable, honestly. But you don't want to burn them in 60, 70-hour weeks for extended periods of time, right? Like that's just not sustainable for most people. So you want to be able to have a good staffing level, a good workload level for everybody so that they're not too overwhelmed or underwhelmed and they're bored and want to quit, right? That's the worst thing for top talent is they become bored, they want to quit and go somewhere else. If we're going to start bringing in interns and summer interns and people right out of college, right, fresh graduates, there's going to be a lot of like, this is how we work here. This is how we do things. This is the standard that we expect. This is the workload that we demand out of you. This is the quality of work that we demand. This is the type of work effort that we demand here. We're going to go for hikes and do stuff like that as a company because we, one, like the outdoors, two, we care about physical fitness, right? So we want to do some of that as well. And a lot of this really comes down to, again, filling out that org chart, right? Who sits in what seat? What are their roles and responsibilities? What standards do you hold them to? And the more that you can define all of this as a company, as a team, the better off that you're going to be, right? Everybody knows what they need to do. Everybody has their specific role. You give them all the tools that they need to succeed. And so everybody's able to move forward faster. So when we talk about building a team, obviously when to hire, who to hire, and then what to hire, right? Like what seat are you filling for? Not just like their person and character, but what seat do you need them in? What talents do you need them to have? And what are you really looking for in those people? So these are the top things that we look for when we're hiring and as we're building out our team and securing talent here moving forward. So that's my little update on talent for this episode. The next thing that I really want to talk about is a big thing that we've gone through with our clients, but also this goes to like team members and other guys, is for team members, it's going to be important to take feedback, right? And in the environment that we're in currently, some of it is going to be like we are moving so fast through a lot of this stuff that the team members that we bring on, some pieces are going to be incumbent upon our team to go and figure them out, right? Have the wherewithal to go and search for answers on their own. Granted, we are here for help, but at the rate we're moving, at the obligations that we have as leadership right now, and to our clients and trying to put projects together, trying to do projects, trying to win projects, sales calls, travel, whatever else for our clients, it's going to be incumbent upon the team to do as much as they can so that they're able to continue working without always having answers done for them. You're going to need to go find answers a little bit on your own, right? We'll have our training materials, our training guidelines, everything that we have documented, in there for our team to go and search through, but it's also incumbent upon them to go and look through, do code research, go and look at the actual code, Like, don't use AI for a lot of this stuff. It's fine to do AI or like Google searches or whatever to try to find like the reference of where that code is, but you need to read the actual code verbiage and language that has been written in law in the code book. Because where AI will summarize this stuff, it doesn't summarize it well, or it's too general as to what the summary is for code. So like an example was, I was looking up for smoke detectors in a specific jurisdiction in Illinois today and what their specific code is. Because in some places you have to have smoke detectors in every single bedroom in an apartment and in like the common spaces. Well, in this jurisdiction in Illinois, from the code pieces that I could read, it was, they basically just needed one smoke detector within a given apartment, right? Within 15 feet of any sleeping room. So you could put one basically on the outside of the bedrooms and it would cover effectively those areas. So, but that's a big count difference when you have 32 condos to do coverages, right? And then they each have 2 bedrooms. So you're talking 64 bedrooms in an apartment complex plus a common space. So that's 96 smoke detectors. Well, do you need 32 or do you need 96? Right? And then all the wiring, all the connections, all the rest of the pieces that you need for that building. So that's a big delta in that simple of a code change, right? Or a discrepancy in a line item. And if you read the summary, you'd say, well, hey, these just need to be powered, or heck, they could just be battery operated smoke detectors, not connected to anything else. That's it, right? But going in the code, it read they need to be powered, hardwired. Okay, well, who's doing that? Are we, putting these in? So again, it's super incumbent to like actually read what the code is. And I even had one thing here lately where somebody gave me a snippet off of Google in reference to contracts. And it's like, dude, a Google reference to contracts does not matter. I need the actual contract. And then what is the contract verbiage that you have agreed to? That is the only thing that matters, right? What Google says is irrelevant as to typical norms or whatever. It's like typical norms don't matter. It is, what did you actually agree to? What is in the contract? And that is all that matters. It's the contract that you have agreed to. So I say all this to say, like, for our individual like team members, one, you got to be willing to go and find content. You got to be going and willing to do code research. You got to be willing to do a lot of this on your own and not like spoon-fed the answers. Now, if you truly run into something that you don't know, couldn't find, whatever, yeah, like, let us know. But you got to be willing to be independent first to go and try to find those answers. And then this goes to like our clients too, right? For us, we got to be willing to learn, listen, gain feedback from our clients and what they ultimately want, right? We have a situation where an AHJ is being very, very difficult to get things approved. They change what they want seemingly every review for our set of drawings. And both our client, who's the fire alarm contractor, and us and the general contractor are all at wit's end to get this project approved and their certificate of occupancy granted for them on this project. And it's one of those, like, we have all done our due diligence. We have all gone above and beyond. We have all done more than we probably should. And now it's come to a point where, we've got to be kind of hard back as to why this project has been delayed, why it's not been approved. And, our language now is not amenable. It is like very hard back to them, very strong language as to why, things haven't been done or approved or what the delays are for this. And so we learn through this whole process, right? We're amenable up front, and then it gets more difficult, more frustrating as we go through the project. So what this all comes down to is you got to be willing to take feedback, right? Adjust to where you are in the project, adjust to what the circumstances are, adjust to what you've tried to accomplish through a project. And sometimes like nobody wins out of it. And it is, you're trying to make the best of it as you can, right? To a unforgiving, unrelenting authority, when it comes to the project. So I say all this to say, like, we learn, we get feedback, we improve, and we do that throughout our projects. We've done things to where like we've updated some grounding details for some specific clients, based on the soil type that they traditionally work in. We've adjusted our grounding and bonding specifically for them and their client or their climate and soil so that it's a lot easier for them. It's their standard piece and it'll meet, all code minimums. So a lot of this is, being willing to learn, being willing to change, being willing to update your standards and how you do things, because that matters a ton for clients on a go forward basis. So all this to say, our teams, our clients, like, and it's one of our core values is you got to be a continual student, right? A student for life, lifetime student. And this matters so much as, codes evolve, means and methods change, we get new materials in, and we're able to make better decisions as we go. So that's our update on talent changes and what we expect of our team and what clients can expect of us. That is this episode of the Construction Corner Podcast. Until next time.